Welcome back to 60 Wise Living Advice, where we celebrate the beauty, wisdom, and endless possibilities of life after 60. Today, we're exploring something beautifully intimate, the subtle art of physical affection that many women, even those with decades of experience, have never fully explored. We're talking about those tender places where a kiss can ignite connection, communicate love, and remind both partners that passion doesn't diminish with age. It deepens. It becomes more meaningful, more intentional. The renowned poet Rumi once wrote, "Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray." When it comes to physical intimacy after 60, this wisdom takes on profound meaning, because authentic connection requires us to move beyond routine and rediscover the art of truly seeing and cherishing our partners. Now, before we explore these 5 tender places of connection, let me say this. Intimacy after 60 isn't about performance or comparison to younger years. It's about presence, intention, and the exquisite beauty of two people who have lived enough to know that every moment of genuine connection is precious. It's about understanding that our bodies tell stories, and every touch can honor those stories. The truth is, mature men long for the same thing we do, to feel truly seen, appreciated, and cherished. They want to know that their partner finds them worthy of tenderness, of exploration, of the kind of attention that says, "I choose you, all of you, exactly as you are." If this is your first time here, I'm so glad you found us. This is your space, a community where mature women come together to share insights, support each other, and discover that our most passionate years can still be ahead of us. Please consider subscribing and joining thousands of women who are embracing intimacy and connection at every age. So, let's explore these 5 places of connection that can transform ordinary moments into memories of profound intimacy.
The first place, his forehead. This might surprise you, but one of the most powerful places to kiss a mature man is his forehead. Not as a motherly gesture, but as a deeply intimate acknowledgement of his mind, his wisdom, his life's journey. As the ancient proverb reminds us, the eyes are the windows to the soul, but the forehead is the canvas where life paints its stories. Every line there represents decisions made, challenges faced, victories won. When you kiss his forehead, you're honoring not just the man he is today, but the journey that created him. There's something profoundly spiritual about this gesture. In many cultures, the forehead is considered sacred, the place where blessings are bestowed, where wisdom resides. When you place your lips there, you're saying without words, "Your mind is beautiful to me. Your thoughts are precious. Your very way of seeing the world has shaped who I've become." Let me share Rose's discovery. At 68, she'd been married to Thomas for 42 years, and their physical connection had become, in her words, predictably pleasant but not particularly passionate. One evening, as Thomas sat reading in his chair, she noticed the lamplight catching the silver in his hair, the distinguished lines across his forehead that spoke of a lifetime of providing, protecting, and persevering. Instead of her usual quick peck on the cheek before heading to bed, Rose found herself drawn to touch her lips gently to his forehead, letting her kiss linger there for a long moment. She breathed in the essence of this man who had shared her entire adult life, feeling the warmth of his skin, the quiet pulse beneath her lips. "Thomas looked up at me with such surprise and tenderness," she shared. He said it was the first time in years he felt truly seen, not just as a husband going through the motions, but as a man whose entire life story mattered to someone. He felt blessed, as if I had acknowledged not just his body, but his soul. This kiss works because it communicates something profound. I see your intelligence. I honor your experiences. I cherish the mind that has navigated decades of life's complexities. It's intimate without being sexual, tender without being patronizing. It says, your thoughts matter to me. Your wisdom moves me. Your very essence is precious. At our age, we understand that the most beautiful thing about a person isn't their body. It's their mind, their accumulated wisdom, their unique way of understanding life. When you kiss his forehead, you're celebrating the invisible, his intelligence, his character, his understanding of what really matters. Try this. The next time you're together in a quiet moment, perhaps when he's reading or just waking up, place your hands gently on either side of his face and press a slow, intentional kiss to his forehead. Let it linger. Let it be a blessing for his thoughts, a celebration of the beautiful mind that makes him who he is.
The second place, the nape of his neck. Here's something most women never discover. The nape of the neck, that tender space where the hairline meets the neck, is one of the most sensitive and neglected areas on a man's body, especially as he matures. The poet Pablo Neruda wrote, "I love you without knowing how or when or from where." Sometimes the most profound expressions of love happen in these unexpected places, these overlooked territories of tenderness that speak directly to the soul. This area represents vulnerability in the most beautiful way. The neck is where we hold our tension, our stress, the weight of responsibility. It's also where we're most defenseless, most exposed. In ancient times, showing the back of one's neck was the ultimate gesture of trust. It's where we're most unguarded. When you offer gentle kisses there, you're saying, "I want to ease your burdens. I cherish your vulnerability. I'm safe enough for you to let your guard down with me." Patricia discovered this quite by accident. At 64, during a particularly stressful period when her partner James was dealing with health concerns and family pressures, she noticed how he carried his tension in his shoulders and neck. The weight of being the strong one, the decision maker, the protector, had settled there like a physical burden. One evening, as he sat on the edge of their bed, shoulders slumped with exhaustion, she moved behind him and began gently massaging his shoulders. As her hands worked away the knots of stress, she found herself drawn to place soft kisses along the nape of his neck, not as foreplay, but as comfort, as healing, as a wordless way of saying, "You don't have to carry everything alone." James melted into those kisses, Patricia remembered. He later told me that in that moment, he felt more cared for than he had in months. It wasn't about desire, it was about being truly tended to, about someone wanting to ease his pain rather than add to his responsibilities. This kiss is particularly powerful because it often comes as a complete surprise. Most men have never experienced focused, intentional attention to this area. It's intimate enough to create deep connection, but gentle enough to offer pure comfort. It bridges the space between nurturing and romance in the most beautiful way, saying, "I see how hard you work to be strong, and I want to be your sanctuary." What makes this even more meaningful after 60? We understand that our partners carry invisible weights, worries about health, finances, family, legacy. A tender kiss to the nape of the neck acknowledges these burdens and offers the gift of momentary peace, a reminder that they don't have to face everything alone. This simple gesture transforms ordinary moments into profound expressions of care. When was the last time you offered your partner this kind of tender sanctuary?
The third place, his hands. This is where intimacy becomes worship. where we honor not just the man, but the life those hands have built, the love they've expressed, the work they've accomplished over decades of living. Victor Hugo once wrote, "The supreme happiness of life is the conviction that we are loved." When you take his hands in yours and kiss them, his palms, his fingers, his knuckles, you're offering that supreme happiness in its purest form. You're saying his hands are sacred to you, worthy of reverence. Consider what those hands represent. They've worked countless hours to provide for family. They've held babies and wiped away tears, built dreams into reality brick by brick. They may show age now, liver spots, prominent veins, perhaps the tremor of arthritis, but to you, they tell the story of a life of contribution, of love made tangible through action. There's something deeply spiritual about honoring hands. In many traditions, hands are blessed because they're the instruments through which we touch the world, create beauty, offer comfort. When you kiss his hands, you're acknowledging that these weathered instruments have been the tools of his love for you. Margaret, at 71, shared a moment that transformed her relationship with her partner David. They were sitting together one quiet Sunday morning when she noticed David staring at his hands with unmistakable sadness. "I used to have such strong hands," he said softly, flexing fingers that now moved more slowly. "Now they shake sometimes, and I can't do the things I used to do." Instead of offering empty reassurances, Margaret gently took his hands in hers. She traced the deep lines in his palms, those maps of labor and love, kissed each fingertip that had touched her face in tenderness, pressed her lips to the backs of his hands where the skin had grown thin and marked with time's passage. "These hands," she whispered between kisses, "have built our entire life together. They've held me through my deepest sorrows, applauded my successes, never once raised in anger. They fixed 1,000 things that were broken, created comfort when I needed it most. They are the most beautiful hands in the world to me." David wept openly. "In a world that worships youth and strength," he said later, "to have someone find beauty in what I saw as weakness, decline, failure, it changed everything about how I see myself, how I see us growing old together." This gesture is profound because hands are simultaneously the most practical and most intimate part of our bodies. We use them constantly, but rarely pause to appreciate their significance. When you kiss his hands, you're honoring his life's work, his care for you, his lifelong desire to build and protect and provide through the work of his hands. It's especially meaningful for mature men because society often makes them feel diminished by any signs of aging or decreased capability. Your tender appreciation of his hands, exactly as they are now, with all their marks of time and service, becomes a powerful affirmation that his worth isn't tied to his strength, but to his heart made visible through decades of loving action. Tell me, when was the last time you really looked at your partner's hands and appreciated the story they tell? These simple gestures of reverence can transform how both of you see the profound beauty in growing older together.
The fourth place, his temples. The temples, those tender spots beside the eyes where pulse beats gently beneath thin skin, represent perhaps the most vulnerable kissing territory, and yet it's almost never explored. This is where worry lives, where tension gathers, where the signs of a life fully lived show themselves most clearly. There's ancient wisdom in many cultures about the temples being sacred spaces, windows to both memory and dreams. When you place gentle kisses there, you're touching the very center of his thoughts, his concerns, his deepest reflections about life and love and what matters most. Khalil Gibran wrote, "Beauty is not in the face. Beauty is a light in the heart." At our age, we understand this profoundly. The temples may show gray hair, fine lines, the gentle marking of time's passage, but they also hold decades of thoughts about love, dreams for the future, memories of joy shared together. Eleanor discovered this during a particularly tender moment with her partner Robert. At 69, she'd noticed how he often rubbed his temples when he was thinking deeply or feeling stressed about their adult children's struggles. One evening, as they sat together on their porch watching the sunset, she saw him unconsciously massaging his temples again. Without a word, she moved closer and gently replaced his hands with her lips, placing the softest kisses on each temple. "I want to kiss away every worry," she whispered. "I want to remind you that whatever you're carrying in that beautiful mind of yours, you don't have to carry it alone." Robert was deeply moved. "It was such an unexpected tenderness," he shared later. "My temples! Who thinks of kissing someone's temples? But it felt like she was blessing my thoughts, honoring the part of me that works so hard to figure everything out and take care of everyone." This kiss is particularly powerful because it's so unusual, so intentional. It requires you to truly see him, to notice where he carries his stress, to want to offer comfort in the most gentle way possible. It's intimate without being sexual, caring without being maternal. For mature men who often feel the weight of being the strong one, the provider, the problem solver, having someone offer such tender care to the very place where they do their worrying can be profoundly healing. The fifth place. His shoulder. The shoulder might seem like an obvious choice, but there's a specific way to kiss this area that most women never discover, and it's transformative. I'm talking about that spot where the neck meets the shoulder, that curve of muscle that carries so much of life's burdens. Marcus Aurelius taught us that when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. But he also knew that some people in our lives offer sanctuary from all of that, and your kiss on his shoulder can be exactly that sanctuary. This isn't just a casual peck as you pass by. This is about understanding that shoulders represent strength, responsibility, the place where others lean when they need support. When you kiss his shoulder with intention, with gratitude, with recognition of all he carries, you're offering him something rare, appreciation for his strength combined with permission to be vulnerable. Dorothy, at 73, discovered this during a difficult period when her husband Frank was struggling with retirement and feeling useless. He'd always been the one everyone depended on, she explained. Suddenly, he felt like he had no purpose, no way to contribute. One morning, as Frank stood looking out their bedroom window, shoulders slumped with discouragement, Dorothy approached from behind. She wrapped her arms around him and placed a long, grateful kiss on his shoulder. "This shoulder," she said softly, "has carried our family through everything. It's held me when I cried, supported our children when they needed strength, worked tirelessly to build our life together. It's the most beautiful shoulder in the world to me." Frank straightened, and she felt his confidence return in that simple moment. "I realized I'd been focusing on what I could no longer do," he said later, "instead of appreciating what I had done, what I still was to the people who mattered most." This kiss works because it acknowledges his masculinity while offering tenderness. It says, "I see your strength, and I cherish it, but I also want to nurture the man who works so hard to be strong. It's the perfect balance of appreciation and care that mature relationships require. The shoulder kiss is also beautifully accessible. It can happen during a hug, while you're cooking together, as he's getting dressed in the morning. It doesn't require special circumstances, just an intentional moment of gratitude and love. What makes all of these kisses so powerful after 60? We've learned that physical intimacy isn't just about passion, it's about presence, appreciation, the art of seeing and honoring each other exactly as we are in this moment. These kisses say, I choose you, I cherish you, I find you worthy of tenderness, not despite your age, but because of everything that age represents. As we come to the end of our intimate conversation today, I want you to absorb this beautiful truth. Love after 60 isn't about recapturing youth. It's about discovering depths of connection that only come with wisdom, experience, and the precious knowledge that every moment of tenderness is a gift. The 5 places we've explored today, his forehead, the nape of his neck, his hands, his temples, and his shoulders, these aren't just physical locations. They're doorways to deeper intimacy. Ways of saying, I see you, I honor you, I cherish the man you've become through all your years of living. What makes this season of love so extraordinary is that we've moved beyond performance and into presence. We understand that true intimacy isn't about perfect bodies or endless passion. It's about the profound beauty of 2 people who choose each other day after day with full knowledge of who they really are. Every kiss you place on these tender spots is a celebration of his wisdom, his journey, his continued capacity for love and connection. You're not just showing affection, you're offering reverence for a life well lived and a future still full of beautiful possibilities. Remember Rumi's wisdom. Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. At this stage of life, you have the freedom to love fully, intentionally, without the hesitations of youth or the rush of building careers and raising children. You can savor each gesture of tenderness, knowing how precious and rare true connection really is. To every woman watching who wonders if romance and passion are behind her, I want you to know, you are just beginning to understand what love can be when it's stripped of pretense and filled with appreciation. Your touch has the power to heal, to affirm, to ignite not just desire, but profound gratitude in the heart of a man who has lived enough to recognize treasure when he experiences it. If this message touched your heart today, please consider subscribing to our 60 Wise Living Advice family. When you subscribe, you're joining a community of women who believe that our most beautiful chapters of love and intimacy are still being written. We're here every week, exploring the magnificent possibilities of connection at every age. And please, share this video with another woman who needs to remember that she is worthy of deep love and capable of creating profound intimacy exactly as she is, right now. Sometimes we all need permission to embrace the fullness of who we've become. Until we meet again next week, remember this. Your love is not less because you're older. It's more meaningful, more intentional, more precious because you understand its true value. Your touch has the power to transform ordinary moments into sacred memories. Keep loving boldly, beautiful souls. The world needs the depth of connection that only comes with your wisdom and experience.